This is Doug, and welcome to the Practicing Accountant podcast. Today, we're going to create a scenario for you. It's November. A brand new client shows up and asks you if you can do their work the third week of February. How might you answer? Now, historically, you might just say, yeah, absolutely. Let's get that done. I'm sure we'll figure it out. I'm sure I've got resources. That's certainly probably the way it's always been done. But what if you knew precisely whether you had the ability to serve that client? What if you knew that you had the resources and the capacity to do it? And more importantly, what if you knew you didn't? That's our topic today on this episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast. It's capacity. We hope you enjoy this episode. Tis the season is what's going on. Tis the season for holidays, time off, tax planning, um, getting clients ready for a new year, getting our staff ready, getting ourselves ready for a new year, firing clients. What else is the season of? Season of
raising prices for next year.
Raising prices, good one. Yes, it is the season of bringing on new clients because there's a lot of shopping going around. 'Tis the season of turnover.
Yep.
The one thing that tax professionals, and this is primarily just tax I'm speaking to, they usually only have like 2.5 months of the year in which they can gently quit. Like, and I mean gently in the sense that it doesn't cause as much disruption. Like, you don't want to quit in February because that's gonna, it's gonna burn, burn some bridges. April, you're absolutely, depending on which half of April, you could absolutely burn some bridges. Middle of September, same thing. Early October, same thing. Those are disruptive quits. Then after you get past 10-15, you've got like 2.5 months to kind of gently quit, to be nice about it. Say, listen, this isn't working. I want to save you the headache of having to find the replacement for me in the busy time. And so I've got to go. Now for audit professionals, they've got like 9 months of the year that they can gently quit. Because if they can get past March 31st, which tends to be a deadline for banks and public and whatever, then they can quit pretty much anytime after March 31st. So 'tis a season for turnover.
Yep.
'Tis a season for gift buying for clients and saying thank you for being, a great client and for their business. 'Tis the season for being grateful for the businesses we have, the firms we've grown, the people we've employed, the clients we've served, the services we've offered. 'Tis the season.
It is. Yep. It's renewal season. It's strategy season.
Yeah.
I think we always had a hard time making big changes in the summer because you didn't want to change softwares before extensions were done because that tax season kind of just goes till October 15th. There's more time to do it in the summer, but we didn't like to change a bunch. So we would plan to make all of our changes during the summer and then implement them this time of year. So that would be our heavy implementation of change.
Season for implementation and change.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep. Yeah.
I like it. So I've been having some conversations with my clients over the last week or two about the coming busy season. And I never tried to like pour it on too hard. Like, okay, are we getting ready for busy season? Are we packed up? Are we ready to go? Like, I don't want to, freak anyone out. But one of my favorite questions to ask my clients is, what is your capacity in the third week of February? And they go, I don't know. I go, well, are you full? Do you have room for more clients? Are you way overbooked? Like, what's it look like? Like, I don't know. It always cracks me up. Like, it's like we're the airlines, where like you overbook your flights and then you show up to the terminal and they're like, ooh, sorry, we know you have a ticket, but you don't have a seat. It's like, right. What are you talking about? So airlines do it. I don't think accountants should, though. I think accountants should know when they're doing their work and who they're doing the work for and what sort of resources they have to do the work with for the entirety of busy season. It's such a simple exercise. Sort of.
Yeah.
If you sat, I'll just lay it out. Here's how you figure out if you have capacity. Sit down, you go through your clients, you look at the type of work you do for them, how long it took you last year, and when you did it. And you put that into a spreadsheet by week, by hours spent working on it. And then, after you've got all your clients and all the hours and all the services and when you provide them, or when you did last year, then you put all your resources in there. Like, who's going to do that work?
Right.
Who do you have available those weeks, and what hours do they have available? And you might make an assumption at this point as to how many hours you'd like your resources to work. Let's call it 55 hours, 60 hours, whatever it is 50 hours, whatever it is your preference is. And then you add those up. And then for each week, you take the number of hours in which you are supposed to serve clients, less the number of hours that you have resources to do that work. And then you're going to get a positive or a negative number. If the number is negative, that means you have more resources than work. You have capacity. If the number is positive, that means you have more work than resources. And that might be a week you need to be careful.
Yep.
But wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if you said, okay, client, I'd love to do your work. I'd love to take you on as a new client. You're a great fit for me. And the only week that I have that I can do your work is the third week in February. And they go, ooh, that's earlier than I normally do it, but I think we can make that work. And you say, great, client, if you can make that work, we will have it done by that fourth week of February, and you'll be filed. But if you don't get it to us, then I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to do your work.
Or extension.
Or instant extension.
Yep.
And a good old, best guess estimates being made. But wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I don't know why more firms don't do a more intentional scheduling process. Yeah.
Just scheduling. And it's funny because in the bigger firms, like, they live by scheduling, right? Like, they have all their staff scheduled. They talk to the client. They confirm the weeks that they're going to do the work. They get the work by then, hopefully. And they can't run their firm without having a schedule and resources and clients. And for whatever reason, I think if folks came from that environment to start their own firm, some of those practices just kind of slip out the door. But that's not the real reason why. Here's the real reason why. Because accountants just say, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. First in, first out.
Yeah. We'll take the work and we'll figure it out. Oh, you want it done then? Sure. I'm sure we'll get it done by then. And then they cause themselves all kinds of headaches and stress and burnout because they're way over capacity by their resources. They're trying to make more money when maybe they do or don't need to. And they just pile it on, and they keep piling it on all the way up until, February. Like, they're taking on new clients in January and at least December. And like, when you're onboarding a client, shouldn't one of the questions be, do we have resources available for this?
Yeah, should be.
And to answer that question, shouldn't we know, like, when the work's going to be done and what sources we have available when they want it done?
Right.
Yep. Like, we should know what the capacity is in the weeks that we're scheduling and booking clients, but we don't. Some call it utilization. I think there's a difference between utilization and capacity in the context that I'm describing it. And that utilization shows you how billable someone was. Did they meet their hour goals, right? Capacity is different. Capacity is, you have a resource. They've committed a certain amount of billable time in a period. And do you have the work to either keep them busy or not?
Right.
So two different concepts, but utilization tends to be the thing that people measure more than capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen capacity measured. I'll be honest with you. Like, this conversation we're having, it's not like I know 9 out of 10 clients measure capacity. They don't.
No.
I literally don't know, outside of a big firm, solopreneur, independent accountant, that captures and tracks their capacity. And that's a crazy opportunity for me, a crazy good one.
Right. Yeah. We did a podcast about capacity versus utilization at some point.
Sure.
It's not a commonly used metric for firms of any size. I don't see, especially small firms, using that at all. I don't see small firms using metrics, period.
But now's the time.
Yeah.
because there are going to be emails coming in, opportunities that are going to show up, and they're going to be asking for you to be their bookkeeper, their tax preparer, whatever they're asking for. And instead of just answering yes, there should be at least some assessment of availability of capacity.
Yep.
I literally I made the spreadsheet for a client a couple weeks ago, and it took me 10 minutes. And then he took it and he built it, and now he can measure capacity close. Each of the weeks of busy season, and he can see the resources he has allocated. He can see the clients that he has got slotted, and he can see where there is a gap, and he either needs to sell into it or not. Like just let's have some availability,
Mm-hmm.
or show you that you need some additional resources those weeks because otherwise your team's going to get killed. One of the cool things this guy did from this exercise, this guy specifically, is that once he saw the amount of work he had, he could see how many hours he wanted his resources to be working to get that work done. Then he was able to sit down with them and say, okay, here's how the busy season's going to look. January, we're going to be working 50 hours or 45, I think he said. February, we're going to be working 50s. And then basically March through the middle of April, expect 55, maybe a couple 60 weeks in there. And he was able to sit down with them and say, like, here's how it's going to look. And let's talk about it. Let's make sure this is okay with you. And let's make sure that there's no conflicts you have in your calendar that you're aware of. Let's not take spring break because I'm counting on you that week, right? But it just creates more transparency in how you manage your team.
Well, and kind of back to the scheduling idea of scheduling clients. The whole reason I think we run into capacity issues is the people pleaser. That client comes in the door, sits down with us, and we promise the world to them. We'll get it done right away. Get us your stuff whenever you can, and you don't create those boundaries that you need. If you require a client to schedule, you immediately set some boundaries that you're in control of the time and the relationship, and they'll end up with a better experience because they won't wait 3 weeks for their tax return. They'll actually get their stuff in, and you'll be ready for it. You'll have capacity at that point, and you'll get it out to them much more quickly. And speed is a big factor in customer experience. Increasing customer experience, as we know, increases pricing power, and you can raise their prices more easily in the future.
I think it also creates not just that kind of pricing power, but also to say, you know what, that week we're fully booked, and then say something along the lines of, well, we can get it done, but it's going to cost a little bit extra to get it done in that time.
Yeah.
Or in that time frame, because we really don't have the resources. I'm going to have to bring someone in to help us do that, and so it's going to cost a little bit more than maybe you'd expect to pay, which you can say no to, because then I don't have to go find the resource to do it. That's
Right.
okay.
Yep. Yeah. Why not use differential pricing in that scenario?
Well, it goes back to the Sinister Six, kind of our 6 things that all accountants struggle with. This is planning and knowing.
Yeah.
It's knowing your resources. It's planning for the clients that you have, and using both of those 2 skills, you're able to then find capacity and be able to speak to it. And it's just it's such a better conversation to even if a new client comes in to say, well, we've got capacity this week, and then you slot them into that week. And it just allows you to get to a level that you want to, and you can sustain for busy season without killing yourself or your team, without saying we'll figure it out, without working Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
This needs to be a thing.
I agree.
We got to make it a thing. How are we going to? We got to help folks make it a thing. That's what we got to do. Because there's no software out there that calculates this either, that I'm aware of. Are you? Any practice management software that does this?
No, but we know of one that might be able to do that for us.
Do we?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about them.
We'll talk about them, or talk to them about it. Yep.
Yeah, talk to them about it and build it in there.
You bet.
Such a valuable tool, such a simple thing, such a great opportunity. And really what it's a reflection of is not just the people pleaser, is that right now, a lot of folks are really burnt out. A lot of folks are really tired. A lot of folks just want to get into a holiday, find some peace for a few days, want to get through all the tax planning or year-end planning meetings that they're having. and then just want to get to January, and then they know what they're going to do. They're going to work as hard as they can on whatever they have and whatever shows up. And that's just another turn of the hamster wheel, in which this year looks like last year.
I think if you're up against capacity that tightly, that's a problem in itself. You shouldn't have to be monitoring week by week to make sure you don't go over capacity. I think that's a sign of a poorly designed firm. If you get to 110% capacity, when really, if you are pricing appropriately and selecting the right clients, you could just bumble along at 80% capacity and make a great living doing it, and not kill your staff, not kill yourself. And that's kind of some of the things that we teach, and what we do is how to not work your ass off all the time to make good money.
And that's the beauty of, again, being intentional about this, is the resources and their availability. Like, it doesn't have to be 50 hours. Like, it can be 20.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're only requiring yourself and your resources to work 20 hours a week, you still want to know that you're only bringing in 20 hours worth of work.
Sure.
Into those weeks for everyone.
Yeah. Fair.
So you're right in that it doesn't have to be 50 or 60. If you are using your pricing power, working with clients that are paying a premium for your expertise and service, and if you have a culture within your firm that isn't worried about how many hours we can work, but how well we can work and live, then the capacity number may be 100%, but the denominator and the numerator are different.
Sure, that makes sense. Yep.
But again, it's the same management tool, whether you're trying to create a 40-hour a week firm or a 60-hour a week firm. We still need to have that intentionality to ensure that you're not creeping into becoming something you don't want or can't staff.
Yeah, great point.
Right or wrong, I don't know. I'm an engagement management expert, or I used to be. Maybe not as much anymore, but I used to be. And there's just such a science and a comfort that comes from having well-planned busy seasons and being able to go home and exactly when you're supposed to, because you manage the work. You spread it out over your busy season instead of letting it build up into these clumps that you just can barely get through, and you don't sleep all week long. And then the next week you're so tired you're not effective, even though you're working less.
Right.
Yeah, all right, I'm done. This is my tirade today for this. And maybe we talked about it before, but it's still important enough to bring up again. And so the takeaway from this, what I'd hope for anyone listening, is take a look at busy season. Take a look at your resources. If nothing else, create an expectation for the hours they'll be working. And then do your best to spread the work out so that they are being busy, but not outside of your capacity.
Yep. Awesome, dude. Thanks.
Yeah. Cheers.
See ya.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Practicing Accountant Podcast. I hope from this that you're able to take away some more intention around being aware of your scheduling, your resources, and your client demands, so that you can create whatever experience in busy season you're trying to create, whether it be a 60-hour a week rush to the end, or whether it be a smoother 40-hour a week stroll, or whether it's a take it easy 20 to 30 hours a week. Either way, it's best to know what you're selling into and that you have the capacity to do the work as well as the resources so that you can uphold the experience that you hope to have in this profession. Please share and like this episode, and we hope you check us out at www.thepracticingaccountant.com and tune in for our next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.